Hello everyone, Burb here. This video is kind of on short notice because I did not realize the SSR tickets were already in the paid shop, but today I will be talking about the first anniversary SSR Selector ticket, the first anniversary 3-star UMA Selector ticket, as well as your Limit Break expansion crystals. So let's begin. But we will get to the Christmas Oguri Cap situation later. There's one thing that's really important. If there's one thing to take out of this video, is try not to MLB things until after your free pulls. I know it doesn't seem like there's a high chance, but it's higher than you expect. So we're doing the standard 1 minus 1 minus P race to the end. We've done for all of the Gacha videos. Essentially, you take the failure chance, you raise it to the number of tries you have, and you subtract it from 1, and that's your chance of success. So in this case, for the UMA, at the time of this video's recording, there is 50 pulls left, so 0.99957 for an off banner, right? 0.043% gives you 2.13% to get a 3-star UMA of a particular selection. So you see that, a particular selection, which means that if you spend your selector now on a character, you have a 2.13% chance, if you're just doing free pulls on the Kidison Black banner, to just get that UMA anyways. It's a lot higher than expected. And the same thing for the SSR off banner. If you're MLBing something, the absolutely tragic thing that could happen if you MLB something right now is that you have to cleat a copy later. It's the same thing over 60 pulls, only it's a different rate. You have about 2.43% for an SSR. I understand we all want to use these cards that we're going to have very powerful, but if you're MLBing something, the difference between 3LB and MLB I don't think is worth the risk at this point personally. But here are your odds. You do have a 98% chance of not having the absolutely tragic situation, but this is an entire limit break to us. This is really important for a lot of our accounts. So just a little funny thing is, if you have like Gacha pulls that are very low percentage like this, you can actually just do a linear approximation. So this is useful for if you're trying to calculate odds in your head. You know, instead of just doing all this math, you could just multiply it by 50 and you get something in the ballpark, right? 2.13 versus 2.15. So, you know, 50 pulls at a 0.043% rate, because it's so low, the deviation between it is not that much. So just a little cool thing I found. I will be 3LBing something just so that I can use my fine motion at all. I think it's kind of prudent to do that, and this is the reason why. And I think this is sort of the compromise. You could just wait 12 days and then you're pretty much all the way into the next CM without using any of your strong cards. But this is now a binomial problem because we care about P2 or more, right? Instead of P is 1. So at 3LB, we still have the buffer of being able to pull 1. We've already calculated our failure chance, so we just subtract it for P of 0. And then P of 1, there's just basically 60 times your success rate times your failure rate raised to the 59. That makes sense. So because there's 59 failure chance pulls in order to pull 1, and then there is 1 success in order to pull exactly 1, right? So you just add all these up. 1 minus 2.4 minus 97.57 means there's only a 0.03% chance, which means statistically someone on this video will still get screwed if they decide to do this. But look, the odds are really low, and I think it's good enough because 2LB to 3LB is very important on a lot of SSR cards to just use it. It's fine. All right, what do we want to use our selector tickets on? A lot of people have gone over this topic already, but the biggest thing is you use it to do 2LB to 3LB or 3LB to MLB. Those are better than all the other breakpoints for almost every single card. There's certain cards that are MLB almost required, and or at least give a very good increase, but 2LB to 3LB is usually the breakpoints for SSR cards. The big three, everyone's talked about this in mass: Kidison Black, Fine Motion, and Super Creek. Hypothetically, you could wait on Kidison Black if you do have enough speed cards. I believe still that Fine Motion MLB is still luxury. I'm like right on the border of it, but I still think it's luxury. You may use this ticket on this if you have none of the other big threes. We'll talk about that in a second. And then Super Creek 3LB as well. MLB is truly luxury for Super Creek, and because she's relevant for so long, you'll eventually pull her MLB. The reason why I'm saying this is that, hey, Imagine you have a 3LB fine motion. Would you rather have an MLB? Would you rather have a fine motion, or would you rather have 90% of a fine motion and 90% of a Kidison Black, or 90% of a Super Creek? That's basically what this comes down to, is that, hey, these last MLBs for these two cards in particular, they give you nice to have. They give you like maybe 5% more output, but you could also just find another breakpoint in one of these big threes. So these big three, definitely the biggest thing to use it on. This will encompass probably 95% of us. I do have a couple more slides on this. What I call tier 2, Nice Nature Wit, is very good at MLB. It's good at 3LB. It's still a 10% race bonus card. It only has a relevance of top meta of 4 months, but if you're a late Surger main, this is basically your fine motion until Romanu and then Air Groove Wit, but you're not going to pull an Air Groove Wit, so it's like still used. I've gone over this en masse. I think she's just a very good card to have if you're a late Surger main. Again, 3LB, MLB in particular for this card if you want to have Mant relevance. Otherwise, if you're still struggling to find things, your Biko Pegasus to 3LB MLB, your Sakura Bakshino 3LB MLB is your second speed card, or if you have Fuku, I kind of go back and forth on Fuku because I truly think that this card will fall off very hard after Mant. I think people are underselling how much this card will fall off compared to Mant for players that have been playing the game. That's a different video, but essentially we're going to have so many good speed cards by that point that, hey, how are we going to fit in Fuku, right? So I have it as a tier 2, but she is very good if you can get her MLB as well. The other thing to note is, hey, how many speed cards do you have in Mant right now? Because if you have Kidison Black is a big 3. You should use it on Kidison Black if you have it. It's good. But if you have a Biko Pegasus there as well, like you have, let's say, 2 very, very, very good speed cards, and this may even include Shinko Wendy. It's obviously not an SSR card, but it's a passable speed card. What is the point of having a third speed card in Mant if you are lacking in other stats? You're overexposing yourself to the speed stat. And yes, these have niche uses in sprint and possibly some mile hints for Biko Pegasus, but like these are stat sticks, true and true. Bakashin's good in sprints. We get 2 CMs a sprint per year. It's not worth it. Instead, would you rather have it on like any of the fine motion or the Super Creek cards if you are able to round out your account and get a speed and a wit card, or like if you have 2 speeds and a wit card, or 2 speeds and a stamina card for your long CMs? That's much more important than the third speed card for your account, because like we're going to add Agnes Tachyon speed to our decks in Grand Live, and then we're probably going to have El Condor Pasta speed that pushes one of these out later too. We're going to have all these speed cards, and we're not going to be able to use them in every single deck. It's more important to either to have your fine motion, right? Or to have like a Nice Nature Wit at this point for the 4 months that she's really, really good. So if you have the option of, if you have 2 speed cards MLB already, and you're able to get one of these tier 2 Wit cards possibly, or just the stamina card, it might be more important to get that instead of just overloading on speed. Just something to think about. I have tier 3 here. I did put Fuku in tier 2 and tier 3. I know, just ones with niche relevance. These are the ones that kind of fall off a little bit in Mant. I know Ines Fusion has a little bit more in Guts builds later on. She's also a good frontrunner card. She's a roll card at frontrunners. And she has speed bonus for the Guts build, but these are more niche cards. Kawakami Princess, like if you're absolutely trying to figure out things to do, she does have 10% race bonus, but then again, hey, she's like the 5th speed card, right? So what are the odds? So at this point we're kind of low, so most likely you're probably going to want to boost up one of your skill monkey cards. So Yukino Vision 1LB is the big one. This is after all of your big 3. You could bump up Ayabe until CB releases. It's only like 8 weeks of relevance, but then after that, if you're running a power build, Ayabe's still pretty good. Like she has very high tef. You get Yaino Muteki, your King Halo for Grand Live. At this point, you're spending money on the game at this point, let's be honest, or you've gotten super, super lucky. You probably know what you're figuring out to do, but if you're running out of options, one of your Skill Monkey cards at this point is probably your best bet for the Selector. All right, the difference between the Selector and the Crystal. The Crystal is eternal, and the Selector is basically stuck in time for these options and possibly ones that I've missed. So the Selector has much less value than the crystal. So don't use your crystals on things that your selector can use first. The shard or the crystal is for fail-safe and incessant needs only, in my opinion. And I am very, very conservative about this because I understand the absolute value of this crystal shard. The expected value of a crystal is 1. You just get whatever card you want. So if it's an on banner, you get 0.0075. 133 pulls is 20,000 carats. Pretty easy. These crystals are worth a absolute metric ton. The thing is that if it's something off banner, which is basically what happens when you are not pulling another 200, right? Because you don't have enough carats. If you don't have enough carats to go another 200, and the banner if the gacha system just decides not to give you any cards, all of a sudden your EV goes to 365,000 carats because now you're having to pull off banner and just hope that they get it to you eventually. So these crystals are super, super important. This is possibly an exaggeration because 9 times out of 10 you're probably doing this 20,000 carats. But yeah, these crystals are super important. So it's really for fail-safes and incessant needs. And I think the only thing that you should even consider the shard for at this point is these 3, Fuku or NTR, if the gacha system screwed you. That makes sense. So if you have like a 3LB NTR, you can consider 4LB. I still don't think it's worth. If you have a 3LB Fuku, you can consider 4LB, MLB. I haven't done the math analysis on both of those, but it'll give you 4 months of happiness, essentially, and then it'll replace itself. So it's not the worst thing in the world. These 3, 2LB to 3LB, I think is the only real way to do it right now, just because if you're pulling on things, you may get one later. Honestly, the 3LB is fine for all of these. I'm still super conservative about these because they need to change your borrow. That's really what it is. If you're using a crystal, it needs to be because you're changing your borrow, and you have to do this little mental exercise. Imagine you have a 3LB Super Creek in this long CM. Are you really borrowing an MLB Super Creek and benching this card? I don't think anyone is. Now think about it, 2LB. Do you have a 2LB Creek? Are you borrowing an MLB Creek? Maybe. I mean, it's good, so possibly. But then again, it's like this long CM is going to be ending, and then you may not need it. But then you just think about the same thing with fine motion. If you have a 2LB fine motion, are you borrowing MLB fine motion? Yeah, you're not using fine motion 2LB. A lot of people aren't. And SR cards are better than 2LB fine motion, so you're borrowing fine motion. So maybe that's a point where you crystal the 3LB. But then again, 3LB fine motion. If you have 3LB fine motion, are you borrowing an MLB fine motion? Probably not. So that's sort of the mental exercise that I go through when I'm considering whether or not I need to shard a card. But yeah. The biggest thing is because this crystal shard is eternal. It can be the Light Hello if your Light Hello banner pulls go well. It can be your Summer Marzensky, your Measure Romanu, your El Condor Pasa Speed, your Air Shakur Stamina, your Winning Ticket Guts, your Almond Eye, or your Forever Young, or your Casino, what's her name? Casino Hearts or something. Sorry, guys. But basically, the shard is any banner that decides to not give you the absolutely required card or one that has super high meta relevance that you decide to pull on. That's why I value this shard probably a lot more than most people. And probably it's a situation where I'm not using my potions until the final boss. But hey, better safe than sorry. And I feel like my account's in a good spot right now. And eventually your account will be in a good spot too, as long as you have discipline as well. So the 3-star first anniversary ticket. I'm going to grab a drink of water before I get into this. This is big. So the Uma Selector ticket. The big question is Christmas Oguri the right choice? And I don't want to undersell her. Christmas Oguri is probably the strongest character on 3 specific CMs, and then very, very good on 2 more CMs, and then remains a top meta relevant character that isn't the number 1 character for years to come. It's mostly just because our ultimate has speed, acceleration, and recovery on it, and the acceleration you can choose when it procs. And the easiest way to go about this is to show it on the coming CM. So this current CM, Christmas Oguri, is actually not the greatest character in the world, but the thing is, and I keep saying this with this character, it's still a 0.25 target speed ultimate, so if you miss proc it, oh no, you get a mid-race speed skill. So it's a gamble acceleration that is in addition to a mid-race speed skill if it fails. So it's always a very, very good option, and it gives you some stamina recovery. It's a crazy ultimate, let's be honest. But Pisces Cup doesn't have a trigger for her that is guaranteed. This changes very quickly in Aries Cup, the next CM we are doing, with the 777. So the location of 777 is going to determine where Christmas Oguri is oppressive, as I said it. So this 777 will not only speed carry over, but you will have essentially like kind of a Taiki ult situation where you have a little bit of acceleration that puts you ahead of everybody else. And this is very significant because it is a perfect proc acceleration. You're going to see how that works with Kidus in Black, because the Kidus in Black ultimate does not seem like it's that much, but because it's perfect proc, it basically gives you about like a 25 to 30% advantage all on its own, and this is higher potency. For Taurus Cup, this is the one that she's going to be really annoying on because 777 is so close to the spurt itself. It's technically not perfect proc, but it's essentially close enough, as we like to call it. This is the same timing as Victoria por Plancha that we've been seeing on El Condor Pasa. So you can imagine from that dirt CM we just did, imagine that El Condor Pasa also having speed and recovery on that. So she has to build less than you. It's going to be pretty annoying. We skip one and go to Cancer Cup. The same thing happens. And yes, 777s is a little bit early on this one, but also you have the downhill, so you can build her end closer and just run After School Stroll. And not only do you have a 777 that is a guaranteed proc that is early, but you can also have After School Stroll be a gamble ultimate that, hey, is both a failsafe for 777 if the wit check fails, but also can just decide to proc late. So you have options. You can do 777, and if your first one fails, you can use this as a failsafe. One of your first two fails the wit check, you use this as a failsafe, and then you have a gamble excel in addition to a 777. So we keep going through these, and it's basically the same situation every single time, is that all these medium tracks, her ultimate is just very, very good. And I don't have the full analysis on this character, so I may be messing things up, but it's just we see this over and over again where 777 is close to the spurt on these medium CMs with a downhill for end closer. Her risks, if you're pulling for this character, there's one thing you got to really consider is that the second anniversary changes could come at any time. They could very, very much surprise us in the first anniversary. I highly doubt they're going to. I just think that these anniversary changes have real coding implications, just coming from a coding background. Like, this wasn't like the first anniversary where they're just bumping around numbers and just fixing a couple conditions. They are adding things to every single gold skill in the game, basically, which makes it like that's a coding endeavor that's not just porting it over one-to-one. So it would be easier for them to just get to a point where the game is closer to where it was in the second anniversary changes. So my personal prediction is that they're going to move this to the 1.5 anniversary changes, and this means that there will still be 3 CMs where she's absolutely oppressive in, and they're just going to let her ride and have her time in the sun like every other character has in the specific CMs that she is the number one character for. And also, yeah, second anniversary does not kill Christmas Oguri. She just doesn't get any of the bonuses. It buffs about half the roster to roughly her level. It basically gives accelerations to a bunch of characters. It fixes a couple skills. It makes gamble accelerations better, which means that her ultimate acceleration is just less relevant, but it's still an ultimate that has acceleration on certain tracks and speed carryover on a lot of other tracks. So it's a very good ultimate, and remember, she has innate experience, one of the best long late race speed skills in the game, and she will remain that for years to come. So, is there a better option? Is this just propaganda so I face less Oguri Christmases? You could consider this section as so if you wish, but I do believe there's one option that is truly better, and there's a bunch of alternatives. Not everyone wants to pick Oguri Christmas, even though you're feeling the pressure of having to go top meta, right? So you have to answer these questions. This is what I've compiled for what you should ask yourself. One, are you competitive in the first place? Are you going to be participating in CMs? I guess 0 is Oguri Cap your Oshi. Enjoy, right? 1, are you competitive? 2, do you have a deck that's good enough to compete in the next 6 months? So if you're unable to actually be fully competitive in these CMs, having the top meta character may help, but you're not going to see the results that you're expecting. This, however, is a character where she is strong enough in these medium CMs that if you have a moderately good deck, it will push you enough to reach that point of A finals probably. Like, this character is strong enough with the built-in Excel that you can omit certain things that these top level decks have, and you can reach the level where you're fighting against them. So there's great value in having the top meta characters on these CMs if you're right on that borderline between very strong and not strong. If you're very, very strong, you have plenty of options of Umas to pick because you can use your deck to basically mold them into a Christmas Oguri, but it's build your own at home. 3, you need an easy Excel choice. I just did that. 4, are you willing to sign up for the recovery search that is akin to a minor groundwork 3 green search? Future Burb here. I explained this badly in the video, but all I'm trying to say is make sure you are okay with playing the scavenger hunt to find these things because their ultimate physically won't work. It's not like a late surge situation where you just need on your left and then you progressively get better the more skills you have. This ult will physically fail if you do not have the things required, and also that you are okay with playing the RNG wit roll game. Even at 100% maximum wit right now, you still have like a 25% chance of failing. So these are just different things that you have to be tolerant to. Well, some people don't like that. I just put it in there. And 5, do you want to play meta? Some people are anti-meta, and that's fine. Don't feel the pressure to play meta if you're not a meta. If you are repulsed by playing meta. There's ways to win every CM, right? So I'm going to offer some alternatives. At the very least, this is for people who don't want to pull Oguri Christmas. At the very most, there's one of them that I think is more important, and you probably already know what I'm going to say about it. But things to consider, first of all, the daily legend races will be coming out in the first anniversary update. These characters up here, Taiki Shuttle, Rudolph are the big ones, and McQueen, they will be in the first anniversary changes, or first anniversary daily legend races. So try not to pick them because you will get them within the next 2 months, mainly because you have 80 shards now from their legend races and 80 days. So unless you can't wait 2 months, I would not use your 3-star selector on them. The first thing to think about is your main role parent. That is, of course, Saiyan Sky for frontrunners and Measure Dober for backliners. This is more of a late surger end closer thing because Measure Dober isn't releasing till the second anniversary. She honestly is just a very good parent on all these medium tracks. So consider pulling for her if you are using your selector on her if the game hasn't given her to you already. She's not coming for quite a while. Saiyan Sky is the same thing for shorts and miles, I believe, because Ballroom sort of takes that. By having the main role parent, you don't got to borrow your main role parent, which means you can borrow a very good engine or a very good secondary sub-role parent. TM Upper O New Year is the big one for frontrunners and pace chasers. I like Narita Bryan for gamblers. I like Simbali Rudolph. Measure O McQueen's good for pace chasers, but those again are releasing the first anniversaries, as well as Oguri Cap regular. It just has a very good ultimate that is late race speed. So consider these if you're not pulling for Oguri Christmas or you don't want to pull for Oguri Christmas. The one that is most important, that is above Oguri Christmas, is your Oshi. If your Oshi is not coming out in the Legend races, and she doesn't have a skin coming out in 6+ months, and she's released right now, there's no way for you to guarantee your Oshi. So you can play 6, 10, 12, 14 months of this game without your Oshi and not really enjoy it as much, and pick up Christmas Oguri and maybe do well in 3, 4 CMs. Or you can go and actually play your Oshi and bring her to CMs and enjoy when she wins. I think a lot of you guys saw this coming, but yeah, your Oshi is important. Like, it's what keeps you playing the game, is playing characters that you like. So if you don't like Oguri Christmas, don't pull for Oguri Christmas. Finally, the alternatives. One more alternative if you're really struggling to find it, or just this is more of a conceptual thing. Take your Oshi, put her in Game Tora, check her affinities, find characters that you like with good affinity with her. So you can kind of guess who this is. For me, it would be Narita Brian, Oguri Cap, Biwa, Narita Taishin. These characters, if I like any of these characters, maybe pick this character up, because eventually the actual way this game ends up playing out is essentially you're cycling the characters that are the friends of your character, that have high affinity, over and over and over again until you finally reach an ace yourself. So if you enjoy the characters and you have the characters that have high affinity, you're going to find your parenting situation is a lot easier, and also you'll enjoy it more if you pick the characters that you like. So yeah, in this case, it's Ticket. So you do Brian to Ticket, to Taishin, to Biwa, to Oguri Cap, to Brian, and then finally we make our ace Ticket after our parents get good enough. You see how that works? So this is just, I guess, a little bit of minor parenting thing, but hey, this is another good alternative. This is a big up for Narita Brian because she has very good affinity with a lot of characters. So to answer the question at the start of the video, when choosing between Christmas Oguri and any of the options that I just mentioned, you have to weigh out what they actually give you. Christmas Oguri is going to give you dominance on those maps and CMs where her ultimate works perfectly. It's not absolute dominance. She can be overcome, and there's some RNG in which that you will simply not hit, but it is one, an easy build option, and two, a strong option for those CMs. By picking a parent for your role or a high affinity character for your Oshi, if you're that far down, you raise the level of the account for the entire role group that you are playing. So if you pick more late surger parents like Mejuro Dober, you no longer have to borrow Mejuro Dober on those maps. You can instead borrow one of the late race speed options. If you have some late race speed options as well as Mejuro Dober, then all of a sudden you can pick a high affinity character to boost particular UMAs that you have that you're building for the CM, or you can simply just pick the best parent available, which is just going to be whoever high rolls more. The best parent is not going to be on a Measure Orion. The best parent's going to be on probably a random Saiyan Sky or something, right? So this just increases your options for the entirety of the role. And those are the balance that you have to figure out. And unfortunately, there's no correct answer. Unfortunately, it's the boring answer. There's no correct answer. Me personally, right now, unless someone in the comments really dissuades me, I'm leaning against for myself, but that is because I am accepting the challenge the next 3 CMs, and it most likely will not work out for me, but hey, I play the game a lot, I have a strong deck, I think my account is strong enough to at least fight up against this character. So that's me personally. Take your tolerance, choose the correct option for you. Above all this, most important thing, pick your Oshi. It's above all the analysis I just did. So, that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. I know it was on short notice, so apologies for all the oohs and ums and all that stuff, but Late Surger Guide should be coming this weekend for Pisces Cup. I'm also trying to figure out how to actually play Make a New Track. There's a reason why I did not do a guide right away. I think I'm still learning it, so just give me a day or two on that. So that'll be out as well. So got some projects to do. Hope you all enjoyed. Burb out.